Welcome to Straight No Chaser. I am here with my co-host today, and our guest today is Leah. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So, she's a YouTuber as well. We like getting these YouTube connections going, and I think Jake's going to kick off the interview for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Leia, you also go to Suffolk. If you wanted to start off, maybe telling us a little bit about your major and what you're looking to do in the future.
Sure. So my major is global business and finance. And for the future, I want to work for the NBA and their global innovation department. So far that's the goal. That could change very quickly, but so that's been my goal for a year. So I think that's something I'll stick with for a while.
That's cool. Did you grow up watching the NBA? Was that like your favorite sport growing up?
Yeah, so my family and I were from California originally. And so, I just grew up with like the Lakers and Warriors, and so, which is like completely different from here in Massachusetts, obviously. But,
Oh yeah.
um, my dad would always, have it on TV and everything. So it's kind of like I grew up just watching it. And like in our basement, he has like this Kobe Bryant shrine, which is pretty cool. But
That's
um,
cool.
yeah, so that's kind of what just really made me like become, passionate about just working with NBA. And like I feel like it's such a good, just corporation to work with as well because, although I am majoring in finance, finance wasn't really it was kind of like I had to double major because at Suffolk, if you do global business, you're required to double major in something else, right? So I just chose finance because it just seemed, fairly easy, and I didn't know what else I wanted to do yet. Um, so far, in terms of like what I want to do, nothing really with finance, to be honest, even though it's my major. Basically, just I want to focus more on like the global business side of my major.
That's awesome. And so you also you're a bit of an internet presence like we are. So you have a YouTube channel and you're also on TikTok. What kind of videos do you enjoy making on YouTube? What does your TikTok revolve around if you want to give us like a little insight
Sure.
around like the personality you try and create?
All right. So YouTube, it's really just honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I mean, it's kind of just like I'm just having fun with it. It's more like a hobby, if anything else. And for a long time, since I was like in high school, I always wanted to start like my own channel, but I never thought my life was like interesting enough. So I'm like, who's gonna watch that? And not that my life is that interesting now, but it's more interesting than it was like several years ago. Um, and so. I Yeah, I just post honestly random things to be honest on my YouTube channel, but on my TikTok, I'm starting to post more about promotional content for vintage and thrift stores. It really just started with this one video I made in the summertime, which is the first video that blew up, which I was really surprised about because TikTok, it's a weird place. Like you never know if someone's gonna be like a flop or something viral. So I made one video on the store in Somerville, and it was called High Energy Vintage. And I recently started getting into like vintage clothing and stuff like that, and like not like the grandma like type of clothes, but like something like Calvin Klein or like vintage Ralph Lauren and brands like that. So I was just like on a hunt, trying to see if I can find anything. And so when I went to the store, uh, it's a very aesthetically pleasing place. Like, it's like all 80s thing. It's a really cool, environment they have going on. And I was kind of surprised that was really like dead empty because there were so many people like out at the time because it was summer. And I was just, curious because I feel like vintage or, yeah, just vintage fashion is definitely coming back, especially the 90s. So you'd think there'd be like more people, just doing the same thing, but, with the initial intention I was doing, which was just to find, yeah, vintage clothes in general. But so I was like, okay, well, because of this pandemic, I know that a lot of small businesses are closing down, and it'd really be a shame to see a place as awesome as this to close down as well. So, what I did was I just, got my phone, I did some, shots of the store all around, and then I put like a cute audio with it. I edited it into where it was like only 15 seconds long, and then I just posted it and see what happens, hoping that some like valuable like promotional intention would come out of it, because again, TikTok, you can like make an amazing video, right? only to have like 4 views on it like the next day. So it's obviously I didn't know what would come out of it, but I just wanted it to be helpful for that store. So I uploaded it. 2 hours later, I had like 16 views. I'm like, okay, well, this is going nowhere, but I'll just keep it on my account because like why not? So then the next morning I woke up and I saw it had like 2K views. I'm like, wow, 2,000 people watched this. That's crazy. I was like, okay, interesting. So then like later throughout the day, it just kept going up and up, and then eventually it hit like 100,000. I was like, holy sorry, I can't swear here.
No, you can.
Oh, you can
You can
swear.
say whatever you want on the show.
Trust me,
shit,
we've had.
So I was just like, I was like, holy crap, there's so many people who watch this already, right? And but with that, so the funny thing too is I think this is my first time obviously dealing with, I guess, anything of like I post on social media to have such a huge impact, not impact, but just a lot of people watching it in general, right? And so, obviously there's going to be haters out there trying to make something out of nothing, and so that was kind of like my first exposure to just like trolls, like people criticizing what you do and all that, because a lot of people got upset that I showed it because they want to keep it like a secret in their hometown, which it makes sense. Like I could understand why, but at the same time it's like right now in the middle of a pandemic, like businesses can't afford, small businesses can't afford that, so like they need business as well. So I get you want to gatekeep, like I understand, but I don't think it's right. Like there's a difference between like understanding but also knowing what's right and wrong, I think. So I got a lot of comments on that, but then I also got a lot of sweet comments as well. Just like grateful for that they discovered this place or I discovered this place, and then a bunch of people started commenting like, oh, can you do like Cape Cod, or can you do Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, and like basically they started asking for places out of state, which is kind of impossible because COVID and everything, you can't really travel out of state, or it's not smart to, right? So I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And so eventually, like some of my videos, a good amount of them are on vintage stores that are like in Michigan or Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Maine. And that's because I contact the owners and I'm like, hey, I'd love to promote you. Can you just like send me videos of your store and I'll put it into a video? And like I do this all for free, by the way. And so they're like, yeah, sure, bet. So they did it. And some stores, however, they do leave me on red, or they just don't respond, which is fine, I guess. But it's kind of hard when you have like a lot of people asking you to do like places in California, when a bunch of vintage stores from California like don't respond, or they just again leave you on red, and then you leave like then it's kind of like that pressure of wanting to satisfy everyone, because that's kind of like what, like my account is really built upon, is just showcasing different stores. But it's like you have to stay relevant, like maintain the relevancy for quite some time, right? And I feel like if because I see a lot of accounts starting to drift away from like what their original intention was, and then that's why a lot of people start like not liking that account anymore, just like not liking the content they produce, because it's not what made them anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's something that I kind of struggle with, only because again a lot of stores sometimes they just don't remember to like get back to me, and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? I can't just like not post for like a whole month, and people think I'm like inactive. So it's kind of, that's the downfall, I think, or the downside of having, or just posting on TikTok in general with a lot of people who are following you. I mean, I don't really have like that many people, to be honest. It's like 4,000 followers, something like that, which, I mean, it's not that much compared to people who have like 10K or whatnot, but it's still like a quite substantial amount of people that I never thought would be interested in my account. So that's kind of like the main focus though of my account, is just promoting different vintage stores and thrift stores. But it's kind of hard to maintain that when again some stores don't come back to you.
What was actually, I have a question. What was that, if you may reveal, like on the show, like what the store was on the first video that got so many views?
Yeah, sure. So it was this place called High Energy Vintage, and it specializes in like clothes from like the 60s to the 80s. It's really cool. They have like a bunch of different like vintage video games and records. And so they're very kind people as well. It's like run by this one guy. His name's Wiley. And he just started this business, because he just had a passion for anything vintage. And so that was the first video that really like, put me out there, I guess you can say. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Have you ever checked out I don't want to like do this to them, but I think enough people are in this city already know about it. But have you checked out Bodega before in the city?
I have.
That
Yeah,
place
I
is
have.
really cool. I'm not sure if there's vintage stuff there. I think it's mostly new stuff. But it's like a really cool like small owned business that's like kind of secretive, and it has like really like specialty clothing and footwear.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. I've checked it out once. And yeah, I feel like a fair amount of people who live in Massachusetts know that place. So
Yeah, it's kind of a local thing, so that's why I was like, fuck it. But yeah, I think that place is cool. And also what is it, the place in Kendall, like the thrift store, the garment district, that is really nice vintage clothes.
So what kind of camera do you use, and also what do you use for like video editing software?
Right. My camera, do I have it here? Okay, well, I don't have it with me. It's somewhere in my house, but it's this really old, like 2013 Canon camcorder. Like that's why like my videos aren't that great quality, to be honest, like clarity
I think they
wise.
come out well.
Yeah, they don't
Right.
come out too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
I like
that's good to know. I got this camera, yeah, like 7 years ago. It was like a present from my dad because it was like, Mom, Dad, I want to start a YouTube channel. And they're like, are you serious about this? I'm like, yeah, I am. He was like, okay. So they bought me the camera, but then I never made a video out of it until now. So it's like, but at least I used it. But I'm trying to save up to get a better like M50 Canon camera, but we'll see how that goes. And then for editing software, I use Final Cut Pro.
okay, Final Cut, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the way you put sound in is pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
I could learn a few things for this.
Yeah, I actually always like the little text bubbles where they're like LOL, didn't mean to say that or whatever. I always like those.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of personality after the fact.
Right, like it's me editing, being like, oh, well, that was a stupid thing to say. Like, hopefully they know that I know that, so then I put it in there.
I just thought that was funny. You guys have any other questions?
Yeah. What are probably your top 3 places you found in the Boston area then?
Ooh, top 3. Okay, well, I'd probably say the first one's in Cambridge. It's called like the Eastern Trading Company. That's a really cool place because they sell like also new things as well, but they have like a bunch of local like products from local vendors there as well. And when I went there in the summertime, they were having like 50% off everything. And I found like this Armani blouse. They had like shoulder pads and everything, which I thought was so cool. And it was only $15 with like the discount as well. So, I found like so many like designer, like discounted items. And I think, when you move farther from the city, things tend to be cheaper. Obviously Cambridge is still Boston, technically. It's like the greater Boston area. But, I've been to some places like that are just like way overpriced, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, so it's that place. And then High Energy Vintage, the first one I did a video on, that it was just, it's kind of like a sentimental connection, but also they do sell really cool stuff. It is on the pricier side, even though it's in Somerville. Like I got this one shirt, it's a t-shirt for $26, which I know is kind of like, steeping it, but it was in good condition and it was really cool. Because I'm not into like those vintage t-shirts that people overprice like $45, even though there's like holes in it, and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I get it's vintage, but like I'm not gonna wear this if there's like, like a huge hole in it, right?
Yeah.
So right. And but I think what a lot of people fail to recognize is that vintage isn't thrift. It's not like you're gonna find like a $5, I don't know, like designer purse. Like that's not how it works. It really depends on how well you curate it, how well you take care of it, and also the brand. Because I've been to Buffalo Exchange. I know that's a pretty like popular thrift store in Boston. And what they sell, it's like I'm not trying to like say they're a bad store or not, but they're just way overpriced. Like I found like stuff from Fashion Nova there that they were selling for like $20. I'm like, I could easily get this online for less than that, you know? So I try to like focus more on just like the smaller businesses that aren't like franchises or chains or whatnot. And then
Yeah.
the third one, Soa, obviously, like everyone knows about Soa. Just because there's like a variation of expensive things and also pretty like cheap things as well. Um, you just like really have to look, and that's the whole like entire thing about shopping vintage is that you just have to look. Like it's there, like the inexpensive items that are worth it are there. You just can't be blinded by like the first thing you see, which is like a $500 like vintage pair of jeans, which is crazy. Like I would never buy that, but that's like not the only thing they sell there. Yeah, those are
I,
my top.
These
I have a
jeans have
friend who
holes
did
in
that.
them. We can sell them as art.
Yeah, I have a friend who bought like it was like $400 or $500 pair of jeans, and they were fake. Like they weren't actually
Really?
like vintage, whatever they got. Yeah, he got
Jesus.
ripped off.
How did you find
Fuck.
out?
Like he just like I think when he actually like what the product that was being advertised was not what actually showed up. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
So he
okay.
got like ripped off, and he ended up having to fight like online to try and get his money back.
Oh
But
my
that's like
God.
because when you get stuff online, when you get vintage online, there's a lot of scams, especially if it's like designer clothing like Gucci, Ferragamo, Versace, like that kind of stuff, Dior. A lot of it's like there's a lot of fake stuff. I've noticed at least. If that's
Yeah.
online shopping, that's different than shopping in like a store.
Right.
Actually, what would you say your favorite brands are for vintage clothing?
Oh my gosh, Calvin Klein, definitely. Like Calvin Klein right now, I don't
It's a good
think
one.
I don't think the style like if I like I go to like the Calvin Klein and rent them. I don't think the style is as good as it was back in like the 90s because my mom has a few like Calvin Klein items that she saved from when she was younger and like they're just it's like minimalistic, but it's something that you could wear every day, and it's really they're really nice designs. But now I just feel like Calvin Klein today it's too much like they're trying to fit in, like they're trying too hard. And
Yeah.
some things I'm like I wear that, and it's not even like good statement pieces. Like I understand there's some like bold pieces that a lot of different brands make, like Urban Outfitters for example they made like these pair of pants that were really cool. It had a bunch of like what is it called? Um like anime quotes on it. It was like Japanese characters and it was just amazing. But I think Calvin Klein now it's I'm not trying to like hate on the brand, but I think some of them are like really tacky. But like back then I think it was just like completely different. I think it was just more trying to stick with what was comfortable and what was something that was really versatile. Yeah, so Calvin Klein's definitely my favorite.
All
Any
right,
other
cool,
ones?
man.
Yeah. Sorry, say
So
that
you
again?
I'd say any other ones that you'd say, yeah, make nice
Um,
vintage clothes.
let's see. Well, not really. It's kind of like just a very well, I like Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but my mom, she has a pair that she saved back from the 80s, and somehow they still fit like me because sizing back then was completely different from
Yeah.
like for women compared to sizing now. I'm probably pretty sure for men as well, but um, those are hard to find because they don't really sell those anymore. But sometimes like I shop on Poshmark, and I know
Oh
like
yeah.
it's not really to shop for like vintage stuff like online either, but um, you know sometimes like I feel like when the vendors are actually truthful for what they're selling and all. I found like these pair of like Gloria Vanderbilt jeans that were authentic, believe it or not, because you look at the tag, and you look the way like it was made and just like the material and stuff like that. Um, and I just think like the epitome of the 80s, which is a decade that I really wish I could live through sometimes because the music was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Calvin Klein, Gloria Vanderbilt, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not really a specific brand other than those two that I really like look for. It's kind of just like the quality, make sure there's like no holes in it and that's reasonably priced.
Have you checked out vintage Adidas from like the 80s and 90s? I love that shit. That's like some of my
Oh,
favorite. Vintage
yeah,
Adidas, like
no,
the
those are
retro
really
look. is so nice, and I really also like vintage Lacoste. I think makes a lot of nice, and then like old school like you said, Calvin Klein. Also Ralph Lauren has some nice shit, like
Oh
vintage.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
thinking of
Laura.
like an 80s tracksuit.
Bro, Adidas had the Adidas shoes back then. I swear, like the Adidas
Really?
classics, some of the nicest shoes. It's just like it's kind of like what Leah said. It's like a bit simplistic, but it's like stylish as well. Actually, vintage Reebok too for shoes, like the ones made in the UK. Those are something that personally really like.
Yeah.
That makes
No, those
sense.
are really good brands as well. Yeah, I got a pair of like these 90s Ralph Lauren jeans like last week, and they're so nice. They're so nice.
Like, wait, you said they're 90s or 80s?
90s, 90s. I also have a
Are
pair of
they
80s jeans.
baggy? Are they like
Yeah.
those typical
They're bad.
stereotypical 90s jeans?
Yeah, they're like straight jeans. It's like kind of like tighter on like the waist, but then like around like
Yeah.
the calves area, it's looser. Yeah, those are like my favorite style of the jeans.
Yeah, because I know in the '90s they like loved that, like
Like
Will
boot
Smith
cut.
and shit. We were
Yeah.
wearing, yeah, he was wearing like those baggy ass jeans.
Right, right.
All right, well, does anyone else have any questions?
Uh,
Um,
I don't. This is pretty cool. I now know that there's like a vintage market in Boston. I never really even looked for that. Really.
You know, I didn't realize that either. Like I remember like when I looked up like vintage stores on Google, there's like quite a few that popped up that I've never heard of. I mean, like I've heard of SOA, but it wasn't. I didn't really think it was. I knew it was popular, but other than that, that was the only place I really knew.
Yeah.
But there's a lot out there, really.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, as I say, I didn't know, but I didn't actually know about that many vintage places either. I knew more about like thrift stores, and then like some of those like independent places like
Yeah.
Bodega
Just
that
some of
have
those
like
like few
designer.
like really popular ones.
Right.
Yeah.
There's another place. Gosh, where is it? I think it's Alston. It's called Vivant Vintage, and they have like vintage like Adidas. They had like these gold ones that were so cool and they were so pretty. But they're also quite expensive, so I didn't buy it. But
Yeah.
if you're ever looking for that, they definitely have like a lot of vintage like Nike and Adidas there. Really interesting.
I definitely check that out. Vintage Adidas is so nice.
Yeah, right.
Here,
Speaking of shopping, because of COVID, a lot of us are now going online for our shopping. And one thing we see subliminally as we carry out this act of online shopping is advertisements. Uh, Google is currently getting sued by 10 different US states and the UK government as well for monopolistic uh, activities, I guess, with advertising online. So the main issue with Google is that they're taking up web advertising spaces for web pages that pay them to advertise for them, but none of the profit is really like they won't know that their advertising went out, and Google basically pockets like when you visit that website through clicking through Google advertisement. Google gets that data and any revenue they also take. So that's a big issue. They also signed a deal with Facebook, basically saying that like they together would auction off spaces and like sell each other advertising space first. So because of this, 10 states are suing Google. Uh, it's this big trend we're seeing worldwide right now. These companies we grew up over the last like 20 years seeing as like way too big to fail. Like no one's gonna come after these guys. They just have dumb money, like money to throw away. And we're finally seeing it, I guess, now, especially in America. Like, Facebook had a lawsuit filed against them not too long ago as well for monopolistic practices. So, both of these tech companies are going to bring a fleet of lawyers, and a bunch of taxpayer dollars are going to be wasted in these lawsuit cases. But, I really don't know how it's going to turn out because at the same time, technology is so competitive, and like Google and Facebook offer some of the lowest prices for people to advertise. So if they have to raise their prices, or like if they're restricted from competing in these industries, like that that could mean that less people can get outreach. It might be harder to get outreach. Like, we as YouTubers have used Google advertising. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
it's pretty useful. It's pretty efficient.
The other thing is, I think, what is it, like half of all internet searches are made on Google. So Google essentially has 50% of market share over all the information that's shown to you on the web, which is like a crazy amount of control to have over a population.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
They can control what you see better than any company really can.
Yeah.
Has Amazon gotten any lawsuits against them yet for the similar things?
I haven't read too much up on Amazon lately. I don't think Amazon's been levied with anything yet. My guess is if they're going after Google and Facebook simultaneously, Amazon could be thrown into the mix not too far down the line.
Yeah, because I feel like they own a lot of shit.
The thing is,
And,
though, no one's going to fuck with Amazon because everyone relies on their cloud infrastructure. Like, so many businesses, major businesses, small businesses, even the government probably pays Amazon for, like, cyber tech contracts.
You know what's crazy, though, about Google, right? So if I use, like, my Gmail account, for example, for, like, an Amazon account, and then I also use it for my Instagram and my email, of course. So I use that same account, same username. If I look at something on Amazon, I'll get like ads for it on Instagram. Like, that's how sus they are.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happened to
Google's
me a lot
expert.
too.
Oh, you can go for it. My bad.
Oh, no, sorry. I just said that happened to me a lot too lately because I've been doing so much online shopping and that, like, on my Instagram, all of a sudden, like, I see, like, the same exact thing I was shopping for online. I'm like, this is creepy, but, like, I see what you're doing.
It is kind of creepy, and it's all because it's linked if you use the same email, which most people do in their social media, and then with Amazon and that kind of stuff. It's all linked because of Google and YouTube, too. That's what makes it worse, is because Google owns YouTube. And then Amazon's independent, but if you use your Gmail for Amazon, Google will see what you buy on Amazon. So you'll get ads for it on YouTube, Instagram, or if you look at something on YouTube that you end up trying to buy on Amazon, you'll get ads for it on Instagram, Facebook. Like, it all slowly ends up being connected, and then they just basically use it to take their information and sell it to businesses.
What would happen here is that with the rise of the internet, data mining just exploded. Because, like, and the companies that really invested in having an infrastructure to do that, they saw profits immediately, you know? Like, it's just exponential growth for them. So, and the other thing is, like, we all agree to their terms of service. We all say, like, okay, yeah, you can do this. Do we even read the terms of service? I know I fucking don't. Like, that's a lot of writing.
Because you just want the account. Yeah.
You know what's the worst
I'm not
part
a
about
lawyer.
it too? Is like when you see something with like name brand recognition like Google or Amazon, you basically just like forego caring about terms of service. Like if you saw it on like a second tier website that you maybe would like question credibility of, you'd be like, all right, maybe I don't sign up for this. But since it's like Amazon and Google, they're stealing your data, yet you've already instilled a level.
Well, they're
of
not
trust
stealing it because you already said.
You already said you can have it.
They're not stealing it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We all give them
no one would
permission
read it
to
on
do
that.
it. But one thing that helps is there are tools online that provide like anonymity for you. Like there's a email called Proton Mail. It's encrypted emails, so all my like financial stuff, like all my anything private or serious, I keep there. And then with Google, I do this like YouTube and Instagram, where all the marketers can just link in.
Yep. That's smart.
Yeah, that is a smart thing to do. Because another way, you know what's even weirder is like not just that they use like, because what I like to do sometimes is I use different emails for different things so they can't all like track it together. But what's also kind of weird is they like, this is like you can even not use an email and they'll literally like you'll still get ads because the mic listens to you, like on Instagram and shit, like Instagram and Facebook. Like I've literally spoken about stuff before that I've never looked up, just like with you guys, and like I've gotten the ads on Instagram. So
Well,
what you
we
gotta do
also
is you
give
got
them permission to our microphone as well. So
yeah, I got to turn that shit off once I started
Yeah.
seeing that. I was like, hell no.
yeah,
You're not using my mic, like you're listening in on my conversation.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
what they
crazy.
do. That's how they
Like
get
I'll
your
look
well,
up,
the
or I remember like one time I was with Michelle and I was like, I think I want some pizza, and we were like searching Google search like pizza, and then like 20 seconds later on Hulu when the ad popped up, it was like Papa Gino's on the screen. I was like, that's so sketch.
what is going on?
Yeah. They all know what you want and what you're doing.
yeah, it's
Also,
pretty
like
crazy.
it's Google Maps too. Google Maps will see like where you've been or where you like to go frequently, and then they'll like try and promote that place.
That's pretty crazy.
It's
Yeah,
really
but then
sus.
again, so like it's kind of creepy and sketchy, yeah, but at the same time, it's like advertising back in the 90s was just random, you know?
Yeah.
Like it just like there was no efficiency to it. It's like now you see stuff that's relevant to you. Now you're just immediately it's like mainlined in.
Yeah.
So there are
Yeah.
pros and cons to it.
Yeah, you get what you want, but you get your information's kind of stolen too.
It's
So.
really
Yeah,
just
pretty
about
much.
sucking every last dollar out of your pocket.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. The thing is, like, you gotta just have the mental fortitude to sometimes just be like, hell no, I can't do that.
So wait, what was the topic initially? Wasn't it like Google's creating a monopoly in advertisement space?
Okay,
That's
so
essentially
yeah,
what it is?
Google, they're basically suing Google for monopolistic practices in advertising, and Facebook is getting sued for monopolistic practices through social media. Like, they're trying to target Facebook buying Instagram and WhatsApp. And with Google, they're trying to target, like, trying to auction off ad space and predatory pricing, basically.
All I'm saying is the U.S. government's incompetent. What will happen is there'll be an investigation. They'll throw the buzzword of antitrust around, and then there'll be a fine. It'll be settled, and nothing will happen to either company.
Well, investigations
essentially
would
what I
be cheaper on our
Yeah.
wallets. Investigations would be great for us. Instead, we're getting these fancy multi-million-dollar lawsuits,
Yeah,
which is gonna
which will yield nothing.
lose the country more money into what? Into like what? They're still gonna exist. They're still gonna be huge.
It's sad because the ones who are suing them are still the ones that are gaining millions of dollars from them through
Yeah.
lobbying efforts. So
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
not really there's no incentive for them to put these people behind bars or like break up Google or Facebook because they're still getting paid by them.
Well, I think you could break them up. I just think if anything
I don't think it'll happen.
if anything other than breaking them up occurs, we as taxpayers got fucked, basically.
Dude, you really think that the people in Washington are gonna break them up? Dude,
No, I
Washington's
don't. I
stressful.
really don't. Yeah. But I'm saying that's the only like logical, like long lasting impact that this could have. That doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
that's
It
true.
was just like a Washington jerk fest.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, well, I mean, speaking of worldwide influences, the World Economic Forum released an article about the new timeline on what they're calling the Great Reset, which is as we come out of coronavirus, a lot of the economy worldwide is going to look different than it did. This is due to the fact that a lot of people lost their jobs during the pandemic. And a lot of the jobs that are going to be available afterwards are going to be digitalized and aren't going to be in the same sectors as they once were. So we displaced a large amount of labor, and then it's now going to be fundamentally different. People aren't going to be able to return to the jobs they once had. So the World Economic Forum calls for a few things. Once they call for global stimuluses in multiple countries. This is more targeted to developed nations, and what they think these stimulus should focus on is public education investment, as well as trying to give incentives to go green, like through like new innovations in solar, geothermal, wind power technologies. And then in addition, they're calling for penalizing private industry companies that take bailouts from the government. So trying to institute
Yes.
higher wealth taxes on income brackets, which I actually think out of everything they've said, this is the least likely to happen. If we do get stimulus, I'd hope it'd be pushed towards public education and infrastructure for like climate change related stuff. But I don't think they're really going to penalize the private sector because from what I've seen, there's been no mention after the initial article. Like none of the founding members have made it a point to really talk about penalizing the private industry for taking government bailouts. Um, so basically, what they're calling for is in the United States, a $1.5 trillion stimulus package, and they're also calling for a $3 trillion one from the EU. They're also calling for China and Japan to release similar stimulus package as well. And this is based on the perception that they don't think a lot of the jobs that got displaced during the pandemic are necessarily coming back. They're going to be much different, more remote jobs. They see a lot of retail jobs going away. In addition, they see like a lot of manufacturing and labor jobs getting displaced too. Once, as we mentioned, we've already been underway in the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to take a lot of human labor and then turn it into automated labor. So, interested to hear what you guys have to say. I can go into it a little bit more after as well.
Yeah, I think I actually love the World Economic Forum, as you know. I've mentioned it in the previous episode. They're my favorite. I love them. But
Yeah.
I think if this might be realistic in like Europe, because government functions well there, and like they actually like pass laws that help people. I guess all right,
Yeah.
that still happens in America, but it's a lot more
Barely.
dispersed. It happens.
Government.
It happens at a state level in America, not at a federal level.
Yeah.
The other cool thing the World Economic Forum does is they'll host their own like competitions and like have new startups apply for like certain rewards and monetary gain that are like really green, like Cubex Global, and then like they highlight just stories around the world, like Syrian refugees doing what's that, like when you move plants into like bigger and bigger pots to like save space instead of planting them in fields. Forget what that's called.
I forget what that's called.
I don't know the
too.
specific name, but
I used to know. I'm just having a brain fart.
It's basically just using the soil
Yeah.
or like the amount of space more
basically
efficiently, right? Just maximize.
within refugee camps they take PVC pipes, drill holes in them, and then you know that like foam that like mattress
is it-
toppers are made
is that
out of, like the low quality one.
hydroponic.
Yeah, hydroponics.
Hydro-
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like they basically drill into PVC pipes, set up like racks, set up like 4 rows of them, and then they figured out you could actually put soil and grow a plant within instead of using a pot, you can use like that styrofoam that like low quality mattress toppers are made of.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the World Economic Forum, they're so in touch. They're so in touch with what's going on today.
I like what they're calling the Great Reset though, because coming out of coronavirus, I do think the world's economy is going to look vastly different than it did coming into the coronavirus. Because basically what you have is e-commerce companies are just sucking up more and more of the retail space. People don't want to go out to get normal products anymore. So what you're going to see is a lot more people less willing to do in-person shopping. So I think the economy is going to shift in ways that we can't fully comprehend until like there's a vaccine and we return to work. But I don't think it's going to be the same economy we left behind in 2019 or early 2020. I really don't. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
no, me neither.
I mean,
You know what's actually kind of no, I was gonna say, you know what's actually kind of funny? So like, speaking of the economy, a lot of I saw a lot of like things on social media, like a lot of posts on social media today, and they were all talking about like they were like talking about the pandemic right now, and they were making references to the 1918 pandemic, and they were saying how like, oh, like after the pandemic's over, after it was over back then, we had the Roaring '20s. So like, trust me, good times are ahead. And everybody in the comments was like, "Hey, remember what happened after that, though? The Great Depression."
Yeah.
Yeah, just something to think
do
about.
believe, there's just going to be a big collapse after all this in the economy.
I think there is something to be said though that society is going to have to become more equitable because with the technology advancements that are occurring currently, if we don't find a way to redistribute wealth at a higher level and actually protect people at the lower end of the society, then the next few decades, especially with automation coming at a vastly higher rate in the future than in the past, uh, we could see like riots or like full-blown civil war at some point if we don't like find a way to redistribute wealth in a fair and equitable way across the board. I really think that's going to be one of the main struggles. And the World Economic Forum focused on this because if you don't have an equitable society, it just leads to civil unrest and unhappiness. So it's going to be a major part of rebuilding with the Great Reset after coronavirus is over.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna get sick of like not going, like not making any more like progress in their life, and then the people who already have all the money, like they're gonna blame them for it. So you're
Yeah.
gonna need that.
Yeah. It's going to be
They're gonna
interesting
start
to see what happens.
striking and stuff. They're not gonna want to do their jobs anymore.
Yeah, it could get uglier before it gets better, but I mean, like the thing I think most people at the top should realize at some point is you want the people on the income bracket that are below you to actually be happy because if they're happy and they have like a home and a family, then it gives them less of a reason to revolt. So if you like focus on making sure that their needs are provided for and that they have a meaningful and high standard of living, then it actually is better for you too as a business owner or
Someone
like
should
as someone who's wealthier.
someone should let Amazon know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say they treat their workers like shit. Like
They're warehouse
buddies.
workers, yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
they're white
what?
collar. They treat their white collar workers like
yeah, they
shit
do.
too. It's like super competitive. I feel like I'd kind of like that environment for like 3 years. I might get burnt out after a year or two, but like, I just feel like that super intense competition and just nonstop. Like, they have like specific meeting times with like one-on-ones to see like how groups interact, and like they stab each other in the back on their own teams to try and move up. It's just
Yeah.
no, I mean it sounds awful, but it's just like if you can survive that, like you must have some fortitude for any kind of business.
Yeah,
You guys want to hear something crazy I read on Reddit about the
Yeah.
warehouse workers? So
What
they
is it?
instituted this policy. So they have like AI tracking devices. So you have like these like wristbands that you wear, and they track your location in the warehouse. So if you come within 6 feet of another worker, and it pings you as going like you were the one who initiated being within 6 feet, you get sent home for the day without pay.
Jeez.
They send you home without pay for the rest of the day for coming within 6 feet
They
of
go
another
full
worker.
Tom Hanks.
And
on
these
it.
aren't like these people aren't the kind mostly generally that can afford to like be sent home
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like the rest of the day. They're
They're
working
crazy.
to like make ends meet. Yeah, Amazon's insane.
They're crazy.
I don't
A
really
bunch
like
of my-
Amazon.
Bro, a bunch of my buddies worked in the Amazon warehouse, and they're like, yeah, you can't like listen to music when you're stocking the shelves and shit. Like you can't you barely get any breaks. Like if you leave without telling them where you're going, like they'll get pissed at you. Like they won't let you even like use the bathroom sometimes and shit. It's like they're so strict with like certain like protocols and rules and deadlines and like time and like that kind of stuff.
Why do you think they treat the workers like that? Like, what, because I did a project on this in my ethics class. I had to do like a corporation, which is Amazon, and I had to research on like how they treated all their labor workers and how a lot of like pregnant women who worked there ended up getting like miscarriages, like in China and even in Germany as well, because there was also a strike there against Amazon, and like it kind of made you wonder like what's the reason behind them not even like not third foreign workers, like they're domestic workers here as well. Like what's the reason behind them treating them like this way? Because obviously it's not very ethical. And also another thing too that I thought was a pretty good question was, I feel like, Amazon, they outsource a lot for their labor, right? And so like in China, the way they treat them, it's horrible. But you think about it, it's low production costs, and I feel like it's what a lot of corporations try to capitalize on, is with Nike as well. But it's like you think about if they started treating the workers better, that would probably cost them more in the sense where like if they treated their Chinese workers with like more respect or whatnot, or just like in better environmental conditions, then would that like increase, like obviously that would probably increase production costs, which could over, in the end increase, just like the average prices of Amazon as well, because a lot of people, they think of Amazon as very inexpensive and very convenient and efficient. So like my professor like brought up a good point where he was like, well, would you rather, pay more for Amazon in the end, but that hopefully they're trained the workers well, or like, they turn something around, or would you just, there's some people out there who just don't care and who will like just like give me the lowest cost even though like your workers are suffering. So I guess like
Yeah.
my question is, like, what would you guys choose? I mean, I think most people would probably go with, the more ethical way, but again, you have a lot of people out there who just don't care at all.
Yeah, well, I personally think I don't think big corporations like Amazon should be outsourcing as much because we lose a lot of jobs in this country for that. And like I said, the people in those other countries don't get treated properly. They don't get the proper working conditions, and because like that, the thing is, people here won't work for like the wages that they work for. So I think that's one of the things I would like try and tax the company more for outsourcing than staying domestically. And second of all, I think honestly you kind of have a point, Leah. Like I think a lot of the people in Amazon up top don't really care that much about the workers. That's why they want it to be cheaper for them, and they know that a lot of the consumers want the prices to be cheaper. So I think what you got to be able to do is you got to be able to be like obviously the workers need to be treated better. That's one of the things. Yeah, I would be willing to pay a little more for having knowing that it's more ethical. However, I think if you were producing a lot more things locally, for example, there wouldn't be as high shipping prices, so it, in the long run would be cheaper.
Yeah.
To me, this just kind of highlights an issue with the meritocracy, though, because once your company goes public, it's no longer about like making your employees happy. It's more so about just maximizing revenue and shareholder profit.
It's all
At the end of
about
the day,
yeah.
that's what it's about.
It's all about what the accountants and lawyers say at that point.
So Amazon's only playing the game pretty much like any other company does. Like you see Walmart, they're doing the exact same thing. Walmart's essentially just a precursor to what Amazon became.
I would say
They're just in
Walmart.
retail.
Walmart actually treats their employees better than Amazon does, though.
It's pretty similar to me. It's not that much better because if
Uh,
you think about it, Walmart
I've
still
heard they get like
outsources
no
to get.
benefits.
Yeah, Walmart.
Well, their
still
employees are
outsources
paid
to
like
get.
dirt, yeah, but their
Yeah.
employees are treated better in a Walmart than they are at an Amazon facility.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe they don't like treat them as harshly, like they give them more freedom, but
Yeah,
yeah, they
well,
make
yeah.
the same at the
It's
end
harder.
of the day.
It's harder to work at Amazon than at Walmart. I feel like that's fairly obvious.
Yeah, obviously,
But-
yeah, for sure.
yeah. But I mean, neither one of them have like the best
Yeah, they
standards
give you, like,
for,
no
for being
benefits.
an employee.
No, I mean, yeah, the money doesn't go to them at all.
But the thing is, too, at the same time, and I feel like this is the problem that we keep running into, is if they were to like have to change and you like taxed Amazon, another company would just replace Amazon and do the exact same thing they've
For
been
cheaper,
doing. So it's
yeah.
not for cheaper. So it's not like getting rid of Amazon fixes the problem. You'd have
Yeah,
to
well, that's part of the issue.
fix the regulation in the industry
That's
first.
part of the issue because I think a lot of people are gonna they love how cheap Amazon is and how it comes so quickly. Like Amazon
Yeah, exactly.
Prime
Like
comes
coming in
2 days.
2 days, like 2 days is like
Insane.
that's why their workers get treated the way they do, so
Yeah.
they can deliver that, and like
That's why
it's
the only thing
convenient,
I
but
think,
at what cost?
Yeah, I think the only way that would really like improve it is that, like I said, is trying to for them to work on like the more local production, like more people in the area producing it, because that would reduce the shipping fees and that would also employ more people domestically. So, but I do think like definitely like their wages need to go up a little bit, and I definitely think there's things like their working conditions. Some of it's just from what I've heard just seems like ridiculous. Like there's stuff like when they like get in trouble for trying to go to the bathroom and stuff. Like come on, like that's not really gonna save much time or anything. That's just like you're being kind of like I feel like stuff like that is just like that needs a reform.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
do
highly
think-
skeptical. I'm highly skeptical that Amazon will do anything unless its hand is forced by the federal government.
No,
I'm
yeah.
highly skeptical.
Yeah, that's the problem is too is Amazon hurts a lot of small businesses because you can just get the same thing for cheaper from like anywhere now, and it just comes in
Yeah.
like couple days when like
That's the other thing.
business would
Not
make
only
that product and it'd
not
be
only
higher
is
quality, it'd
Amazon
take longer.
Amazon's not just competing with Walmart anymore. They're competing with Alibaba, AliExpress, like JD. They're competing with companies all across the globe to try and get your dollar for the
Yeah,
best product, cheapest price. So, like,
and they own Whole
it's
Foods too,
not
so
like
competing with the grocery store.
the consumer will always find what's in their best interest, like if to their pockets. So I don't really know how it's gonna fix anything by Amazon going away or getting regulated against.
Yeah,
Besides maybe protecting local populations, but that's pretty much it.
but
I
yeah,
mean,
but,
Amazon's not going to go away. I think they should get broken up. They have so many branches of just.
Yeah, that's
like
the problem
Whole
I have,
Foods,
too.
Amazon Prime, all that shit.
Amazon
like,
Prime, Amazon Music, Amazon Movies, like that shit's all bull. Like
Yeah, they
that, some
should
of that
just
needs to
stick
go
to,
away.
like,
Not only that,
delivery.
like Amazon Web Services and like Amazon Prime
Yeah,
Video.
AWS.
Like, why does a movie studio and a cloud data service? Why are they? Why are they the same company? It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
It's crazy,
It's kind
dude.
of
They
like how
have a
Google
section of
was just
everything.
yeah, Google used to just be a web searcher, and now it's like a GPS. It owns like video
YouTube.
services, music
Yeah.
services,
It's
like
nuts.
that kind of shit.
Big
Shopping.
tech. That's why we're seeing
Okay.
this trend now with all these huge lawsuits being levied against companies like Facebook and Google. We'll see how it. No one really knows how this will go. You know, this has never happened before. Like companies of this level existing.
I actually had this thought in my head, like say you work for like you work for Amazon, Apple, or Google, like you in your normal life. You look up and at the end of the day it's like essentially like 5 to 10 people, like realistically inside the company, determine your value to the rest of the company, and like that's it. There's 5 to 10 decision makers that determine what happens to everyone
Yeah.
else in the company, which is like the nuts part about it.
Yeah, and all the rest are just executing projects that
Yeah,
meet the strategy
project.
those 5 people come up with.
Yeah, they set up the like the needs of the company, and then you just fulfill them. That's it. That's like it.
Yeah.
And, like
Yeah.
Uber, Apple, Amazon, that's like what it all comes down to. They all provide services.
Basically, look for jobs for private companies. Public ones suck.
So speaking of income inequality, the U.S. federal government. So Joe Biden has been finally confirmed by the Electoral College as he's actually president now, guys. So you don't have to worry about it.
He was.
In case you were doubting, Joe Biden is now president.
Bro, is that
So-
not fake? I feel like that's fake.
Yeah, there's still a lawsuit somewhere up Trump and McConnell's sleeve.
We definitely have that one viewer that's mad right now.
Oh,
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just a fact. This isn't like even my opinion. Like, come on, he fucking won the election. Like, get over it. Like, even
He
even
won,
McConnell.
like, 4 weeks
even,
ago.
Yeah, even he's won like 4 times at this.
Bro,
Where-
not only that, like, Trump's like going to Republican judges in like swing states, like, hey, I'm the one that got you seated. Like, judges don't care, bro. That's not how this isn't a show of Apprentice. Like, you don't just fire judges. Like,
Yeah, you just feel like you're fine. That's the thing. I swear to God, that motherfucker Biden's won like 5 or 6 times at this point. Like several. Even McConnell's like, yeah, like he won.
Yeah, I
like,
saw
he
that
did it.
actually.
Yeah.
Like that must have
He
been such a
finally
big blow to
capitulated.
Trump. When
Yeah.
McConnell said Biden, you won, because McConnell's just as nasty as Trump, honestly.
Trump must have cried, dude. He probably shed a tear. Like,
He
even you,
definitely
Mitch?
did.
He finally capitulated. But yeah, so now Biden is starting to choose nominees for his cabinet positions, and so a lot of people thought because there were so many Democrats running in the past election that a lot of them would be like a potential cabinet position, which was so far now has been the case because Pete Buttigieg, who is running against Biden now, is Biden's nominee for the Secretary of Transportation.
Can I
So-
just ask,
Yeah.
what's that pick from? Because I don't remember Buttigieg having anything to do with really Secretary of with transportation. What's the ideology
apparently it
behind
has
the
to
pick?
do with like his mayoral career, like in South Bend, the mayor. Like apparently he did
Okay.
a lot to fund public transportation during
Okay.
that, and like he tried to get like the low income communities access to good like public services like better transportation.
That makes sense.
And Yeah, so he decided to pick him for that. Yeah, I still thought it was a bit random, but like,
Yeah, it seems a bit random to me too. I
yeah,
wouldn't have
apparently,
expected that.
apparently he's a background in it a little bit. But yeah, basically, the Secretary of Transportation is basically the one who's in charge developing, coordinating policies that'll provide efficient and economical national transportation systems. That includes highways and railways and airports. And so it's basically a position that focuses a lot on infrastructure, which is something that this country really needs to improve. So
Yes.
that is an important thing in my opinion. But yeah, Buttigieg, yeah, so he'll be he's right now Biden's pick for the nominee, and that would also make him the first gay man to be nominated for a cabinet position. So it would be a pretty pivotal moment in our history. But yeah, I just hope that like I said, I just hope he basically has some good ideas for improving the infrastructure because a lot of our shit's outdated. Like a lot of our airports, the public railway system could get improved, and the roads could definitely get improved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
and
Who
now I was
else?
gonna say, yeah, the other thing is for his other cabinet position. This one I thought was really interesting as well. Or one of his nominees was Deb Holland, and he nominated her for the Department of the Interior, and the Department of the Interior is the one who's responsible for Indian affairs, so like dealing with Native American affairs, basically. That's what they call it, though.
Are they
And
also national parks, right? Aren't they
yeah,
also?
national parks as well. Yeah,
Don't they do housing stuff as well?
I believe so. Yeah. Actually,
I
well,
don't know
no,
about
that
that.
might be the
Yeah.
Department of Urban or whatever. Urban.
Yeah, urban development and housing, or urban and
When
housing
Ben Carson
development.
served
something
under
like that.
Trump. But like, yeah, Deb Holland is basically she'll be in charge of Indian affairs, and she is the first Native American to be in the Department of the Interior. She's
That's actually cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I
which
like
is
that.
I feel like if anyone should be in that position, it should be a Native American because we have over hundreds of recognized tribes still in this country. She's part of the Pueblo people. She's a native of New Mexico, and her people have been living there since the 1200s. So, basically, yeah, she's the first Native American woman to be Department of Transportation, and yeah, in the whole like years that we've had I think it's been 171 years since that position's even been established. Sorry, not transportation, interior. But yeah, I think it's very significant that a Native American person holds that position, personally given the history behind it and the significance, because they, like I said, deal with Native American tribal affairs and laws and regulations.
It'd be nice too, because maybe they'll stop pumping oil out of public lands. That'd be nice
like
too.
kind of build pipelines, and also I think that she also protects national parks, because national parks and reservations I think are one of the greatest things this country has. Just
Agreed.
areas that can conserve rare species of wildlife and plants and trees and that kind of shit. So I think it's really important. So yeah, I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on Buttigieg and Holland's nominations?
Buttigieg's, I really don't know what to say, like, because it seems a bit random to me. Like, I'm sure he'll do fine because he worked at McKinsey and he was mayor of South Bend, so I'm not really worried about him. But it seems a little odd. But Holland, was it Holland? What's her
Yeah.
name? Is it
Yeah,
Suzanne Deb Holland?
Yeah.
Deb Holland, that seems like a good pick. I like that. And I mean, the one thing I'd like to see happen in the Interior Department is just to stop oil drilling in public lands and off the
Fracking, yeah.
shores. Yeah,
Yeah.
off the shores of the U.S.
Which
So
got
that'd be nice.
super accelerated over the last 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. The one thing that we can say though is that oil prices and gas prices were kept low. So I mean, as if they can manage to at least keep gas and oil prices low to some degree, and stop drilling on public lands, that'd be pretty awesome. I think that's like a happy medium to strive for.
I don't know how. I don't think Biden's administration will really focus on trying to keep like gas and oil prices low.
I think that'd be a
they're more
mistake
focused-
though.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
at least-
would. I mean, who knows? We'd have to see. I just don't know
Yeah.
if that's really a priority for them coming in.
I don't
I
think so
agree with
either.
Abby because I know they're also very focused on was it climate change, which obviously is an important
Yeah.
issue. And there's like a lot of them are pushing for the Green New Deal, which I'm not 100% in support of. I do like a lot of aspects of the Green New Deal, but I'm not 100% in support of it. I do think keeping oil and gas prices low would be a good priority as well, though,
Yeah.
especially given the amount of money that was lost during the pandemic.
Yeah, if they
So
can
you got to find
manage
like a
it,
healthy
yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Definitely climate change is important, and Biden would be the first president to actually probably take it seriously, besides maybe Obama, but not like the level Al Gore or
Al Gore
Ralph
would
Nader
have,
would have.
yeah.
Al Gore
Yeah.
would have been the best president we've
Al
ever
Gore would
had.
have, or
Well,
Nader too. He was really like took it seriously. So
Al Gore could have been
we'll
great,
see.
but then he had to put it in a lockbox.
we had to get the yeehaw Texas senator or Texas governor
Yeah.
come down to Washington.
Yeah, that guy really. Oil prices meant a lot to him.
Yeah, actually, it meant,
So much that he would-
it did mean a lot because it meant 2 wars in foreign countries to him.
Yeah.
That's how much it meant to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like yeah, as long as, but honestly, there's not much Biden's administration can do that I can really hate on, because I feel like their priorities are going to be pretty straightforward. He's going to do a lot of his first 100 days will be focused on repealing executive orders that Trump put in place. And then beyond that, he'll probably try and pass one big piece of legislation, which I hope is infrastructure related, if not stimulus related. It's probably going to be a stimulus package that I hope focuses on education and infrastructure. That would be like the dream, but I don't know.
I think personally his biggest priority should be like combating the coronavirus pandemic. Then climate change should be up there. I think definitely the police system and inequality with minority communities and low-income communities is up there. And then I think bettering our foreign relations with other countries should be up there. Those are like his big, in my opinion at least, that he
If
should
they
focus.
federally legalize marijuana before he's out of office, I'll have considered the presidency a success.
Yeah, that is what.
That's
I
it.
feel.
That's the only. That's
That's my
That's the
metric.
That's on the
my-
list. It's on the list.
That is
And
my
you
one
might as well
metric.
not stop there and follow Oregon's footsteps.
Yeah,
just
legalize
legalize it
everything.
all.
Actually, no.
Should.
To me, actually, I feel like the thing with marijuana though is because a lot of nonviolent drug offenses in the minority
Yeah.
community are directly linked to marijuana. So you'd see a
Definitely
disproportionate
marijuana.
No,
impact.
I agree. I totally agree.
But Jake also wants over-the-counter Adderall.
I mean, I want everything over the counter, but that's never gonna happen. It should
Leah,
all
what's
be
your
legalized.
opinion? What's your opinion on his nominations?
Well, I'm just glad that we just finally elected someone who was actually competent, in my opinion,
Yeah.
on just like tackling what I think is probably the worst year of our lives. I mean, obviously there's been definitely worse like years that have existed, but I think
Yeah.
that in the last 10 years, this is definitely the worst. And like I don't know. I'm really hopeful for this administration, only because I think now we're headed in the right direction. The only thing though is that, with the pandemic and like the Biden administration, I heard that he's not making masks mandatory in like every state, which I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed on, only because I mean I just feel like that just further promotes like the spread of, or of the idea that it's okay not to wear a mask. I mean, obviously people have different opinions on that, and people argue that, well, I mean, the number of cases have already are skyrocketing already. Like, what more is a mask like covering your face going to do if the numbers are so high as of right now, right? And so I can see it from that point of view, but at the same time, it's like I kind of just wanted a more, I guess, like hardcore mandate on like guidelines, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm usually always opposed to the government forcing
I am
anything
too.
on us. But what I will say is I'd much rather wear a mask and have shit be open than have another lockdown.
Yeah.
And that also
Agreed.
would hurt businesses if we did that. So I really don't want another lockdown. I way rather they just enforce masks and distancing. It's really not that hard at the end
Yeah,
of the
but
day.
I don't think it should be. I still think it should be a state
Not
by
federal.
state
It should be
not
state by state.
federal.
Actually,
Think,
I do kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I think with the vaccines rolling out now, like private industry will take more strides with coronavirus than the federal government could ever progress
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I am hoping that I think Biden's capable enough to set up the right networks to actually distribute the vaccine properly. Like that's
Yeah.
somewhere the federal government could really help, like streamline there.
Yeah, agreed. Get how incompetent Trump's administration is, all right? So I was reading this article, dude. So states were projected to get around 7 million doses.
Yeah.
And Pfizer has millions of doses on standby because states ordered inaccurate amounts. So they have a mass shortage, dude. They only have 60% of the vaccines they're supposed to have for the month of
Jesus.
December. And this is like from federal guidelines. So this is Trump's administration telling states what they need to order, and they massively underreported what they would need. And Pfizer now has millions of dosages sitting by on standby that should have been already distributed to states.
If you really want to hear how incompetent they are, too, 2 out of the 4 major coronavirus vaccines were produced in America, Pfizer's and Moderna's. And the first country to approve them on a nationwide scale was the fucking UK.
Oh yeah.
The UK, and then like several other European countries, and then just today the FDA approved the second dose of Moderna.
The thing is, New York already got a shipment from Pfizer. New York will be the first state in the states.
Yeah, well,
to
Pfizer's
receive the
in New
vaccine.
York.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why,
But it
Sven?
still took us forever. The UK got it first.
You know why, Sven?
What?
UK sick, bruv.
Yeah. I can't believe
I
they're
love the
still
UK.
taking shit from us. I thought we settled that like 200 years ago.
It's mad funny. They took our vaccine before we did.
Yeah, and one of their vaccines, they literally produced, that Oxford produced a vaccine. Like, what's wrong with that one? I think they just bought all of them, honestly. I think they
Yeah.
just were like ready.
It sounds like Moderna's vaccine is going to be the vaccine to take from everything.
That one sounds the best. I mean, I already know of people who've taken it so far.
We
now,
live in
so
a major port city, Boston, so
Well,
vaccines won't
Moderna
be
is
far.
Moderna specifically. Also, I like 'cause it's Cambridge, Mass.
well,
Like,
even
that's
though
the
all right,
one
yeah,
produced here.
it's developed in Boston, but the actual
Pfizer-
manufacturing doesn't occur in Boston.
It's like saying Pfizer also has a building in Cambridge. Like they're not actually made in Cambridge. They have manufacturing
but
out
well,
there.
Moderna's
they're
based-
developed. They're developed
Yeah, they're
in
developed.
labs here.
Science was happening in Mass while Pfizer's was in New York.
Yeah, but the actual
there was one in
manufacturing
England.
occurs in Asia, probably.
To me, I don't care as long the one with the higher efficiency rating and the lower temperature storage rating, like the one that has the better numbers, is the one to take. I feel like that's all
I think
there
that's
is to it.
Moderna right
It's
now.
Moderna's. That's why I like the Moderna.
I'm just gonna talk to my doctor in January and be like, "Yo, what's the
Yo,
soonest
which
I
one?
can get one?" Yeah.
Like, which one am I getting?
I'm hoping at this point, my doctor has like a debriefing on like what to tell patients.
All right, here's the one thing I will say I'm confused because I've actually seen comments on Instagram about it. But all right, here's the thing: if you get a vaccine, you still have to wear a mask because some people are saying you can still spread it. We don't know if you can spread it or not. But does that not? It makes no sense to me because if you have a vaccine, how could you spread the virus?
Well, I think that you still can because people who have the antibodies who've had the virus, they technically can't get sick, but I think they can still spread
You can
it.
still spread it with the antibodies.
Yeah, because you just
Really?
can't get sick for like a couple of years because antibodies last a while. So like that's why like when you get the flu, technically you don't need the flu shot until the next flu season because you have the antibodies once you overcome it. But I believe that anyone can still spread the disease because you can still like have it like in your saliva.
Oh, okay. So you can still technically
You
have
just
it,
don't get
you
sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the whole
don't
point of
get
everyone
sick.
getting vaccinated is like if
That
enough
makes
people
sense
get
then.
vaccinated, you get herd immunity because then no more people like enough people who get vaccinated, they'll spread it to each other, but nothing will happen, and the people who will sick, it'll eventually thin out.
Okay, so until we have like more than 50% of the population with the vaccine, basically it's still masks on.
Yeah, masks. I honestly think are gonna stick
I
around.
think it's
until
more
the
than
end of
50%.
2021, probably.
It's probably
it's
more
probably
like
like 70.
80.
It's like
yeah.
65%. I thought.
Well,
I thought
it was
herd
65.
immunity.
Might be like 70.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought it was 2/3 population.
I don't think it'll last to the end of next year.
And let's
with
be real, the
masks.
last like
No, I don't
third-
think I'm saying the mask will. I think the mask will end at
Yeah,
least till
that's-
next, or will last at least.
I don't
till
think
next
it'll last
summer.
until the end of next year.
You don't
Hey,
think
and let's
so?
be
Maybe
real.
like next summer.
I think by like the end of next summer, like it'll start getting rolled out to us, who'd be like the last demographic to get it, like
Yeah.
25 and under. I think by the end of next summer, we'd probably be getting some vaccines at that point.
Yeah,
But let's be real too. The last third of people to get vaccinated too, do we really care about that much? Like we know who they
What?
are. They're like the
What?
anti-vaxxers,
Oh,
people who are
gee.
like coronavirus is like a mass conspiracy. Those types of people.
I mean, yeah.
They're
I mean,
not
that's
getting the
thing.
vaccine regardless.
They're not.
Dude.
They're gonna not get it by choice. Our demographic will be the last one required to get it. Or
The
I guess
Earth-
no one's
If
required,
the
but
Earth is
opted
round, why
to get it.
don't I see a curve?
Yeah, no, that channel's hilarious, dude. All gas, no brakes. Anyone out there who likes like funny videos, they should watch All Gas, No Brakes. He's like if Eric Andre and Napoleon Dynamite had a kid. This is what it would look like.
That's what he looks like. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
his sense of humor is a bit different. Then I'd say
Yeah,
it's a little more like
the
witty.
humor's more like
It's a little more witty.
it's more like Baron Cohen's humor kind of.
Yeah,
Sure. All right, are we ready
so-
for Reddit?
For Reddit advice.
Reddit
Yeah.
advice. Yeah.
I thought this one was good. I already have one pulled up. You ready for it, guys?
Yeah.
All right, so Leah, I should mention this before I start. We do this thing every week where we go on this Reddit page. Do you know what Reddit is? You probably know what Reddit is.
Yeah, I do.
And it's called Our Advice.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jake, she's a media influencer.
I don't know. Everyone doesn't know
yeah,
Reddit.
she's
Reddit's not
literally-
as mainstream as all the other ones, I feel like. Anyway, all right,
Reddit
so
nowadays.
we go on this page. Shut up. We go on this page called Our Advice, and we ask, and like people ask for advice on it, and we just give them our advice, like on the show. So here we go. Where can I go to have good conversations in real life? My wife and I moved to a new city around 2 years ago, and we still don't have any friends. We both work from home and do not have children, so there aren't many opportunities to meet new people. With the pandemic, making friends seems much more difficult. Where can I go to have good conversations? I am interested in a lot of diverse topics and like discussing things in depth. Weed talk, I guess. Crying, laughing face. Because at this point, the isolation is becoming a problem and affecting my mood. What is your advice? What do you guys think? He's in a new city, him and his wife. Where should they go to meet new people?
That's difficult. I don't really know.
Especially during the pandemic, I feel like this
Yeah,
is a
during the
difficult topic.
pandemic, that's like what?
I would say there's like Bright, what is it? What's it called? There's like that Eventbrite. Eventbrite has
Oh, yeah.
like events you can attend every week, and it's open to pretty much everyone in the public. So it's very easy to meet connections, like you normally wouldn't meet in your day-to-day life. So I'd say Eventbrite's like a great place. Just anywhere online that you can like Zoom meet with people, because that's basically like the new form of like going to a bar or like something like that.
Was just drinking on Zoom with each other.
Mike.
Mike, shocker.
Everyone's just drinking on Zoom, talking to each. Is that what it is?
I mean, in my ideal Zoom, that's exactly what would happen. But what do you guys think? What's your advice to this person?
Outdoor hobbies, biking. I know we were just
Oh, yeah.
shit talking Facebook earlier, but like I'm sure there are like biking and running Facebook groups you could join.
It's a good one.
It's hard.
Yeah. The thing is with COVID, it makes it so much harder to actually. Yeah.
Somewhere else. Okay, I think I found it. All right. Wanting to start dating again, but I don't know if it's fair to do when I have feelings for someone else. Do I just wait for feelings to die so I know I am entirely over them before dating someone new? Or, since that could take a year or two, do I start dating again and hope I will find someone new and get feelings from that to drown out the old feelings? What are your guys' thoughts? Any suggestions would be appreciated.
Wait, so is the person that they are still have feelings for? Did they like break up, or is that
Yeah,
person
I'm
like
assuming
dating someone else?
they're out of the picture from the context I'm gathering. They're out of the picture at this point. So it's like, do I wait for feelings to die and like sit around?
I would
at the
say
end?
if there was a potential that they would get back together and there was nothing like toxic or bad about the relationship, I would say that she should maybe wait a little bit and then kind of like hit them up again after a while. But if they really just want to move on, I think the best way to move on is to start getting your mind off of them and just seeing other people and seeing like hanging out with your friends and going out and like starting to date again. I think that's the best way to get your mind off of someone.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think the best way to like just forget about them is just to like introduce yourself to new people. And I mean, like you can start dating, even though I mean, like if you're dating someone, you don't have to like be like wholeheartedly like in love with them right away, obviously. But like, cause my sister, she broke up with her like longtime boyfriend as well. So what she did is that she went back into like the dating game, and eventually she met someone who's really like amazing to her, and she fell in love again, which is like really sweet and all. But that's what helped her, was just like dating different people, even though she wasn't completely over the guy just yet. Because if you meet the right person, then that doesn't matter any like that person doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've kind of learned that myself growing up. You can't really dwell on like past like relationships and like when you gotta kind of when like they're over and especially when there's like the way they ended like even sometimes I know there's a lot of people too who do try and get back together with like their exes, but sometimes you just gotta like move on. And the quickest way to do that, in my opinion, is just get your mind off of it by seeing other people, going out with other people. So
I actually have like I feel like decent advice because I've done this to myself. Like in high school, I spent way too long. One time after I broke up with, or someone broke up with me, and I spent way too long like regretting and thinking of things I could have done differently.
Same here.
I think it was like 5 or 6 months that I was like totally distraught. Didn't want to date anyone after that.
Yeah.
And then I eventually had a rebound, which lasted about a week. But anyway, like my advice is like try to focus on the future, not on the
From
past.
talking to
The
dating
longer-
in 2 days.
Yeah, I was talking to dating
I was
way
like-
too quickly. Yeah, Bert, you know too much. Hubby knows way
I was
too
like,
much.
Jesus Christ, that was fast, dude. I didn't even get to blink.
But anyway, I think your guys' advice was good. He should just focus on the future because dwelling on the past is like the worst thing to do, and you don't gain anything from it. Your future is based on what you're doing in your present to make the future better than either your present or your past. So I feel like what you do today sets you up for what you want tomorrow and down the line.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think it's a good note to end it on. Honestly, I like that. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Leah. This was a really great episode. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I really liked the topics we had today and the discussion we had.
Go check her out. You wanna give like a quick shout out to your YouTube, Instagram, all that. We can link your YouTube in the description below too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just Leah Mags. And my TikTok is Leah_Mags with 2 S's. And hopefully you guys like my content.
Yeah, cool. We'll like leave links or like your account names in our description or something.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So much for coming on.
All right. Well, that concludes Straight No Chaser episode 20. So this was a great episode, guys. As always, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel and check us out on Instagram, straightnochaser.ent. And more content will be out soon, so stay tuned.